We have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man will go nuts if he cash you. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
We
sense.
are denied not only civil rights but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
I'm getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
In my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all in Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get mad. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat. It's me now. You're my truth now. Yeah. I'm here to speak and make it clear. I'm sorry, y'all, for all I've done, but I'm not the only one. In a dark place, I told some lies, but I'm not the only one. We all got secrets under the sun. In the shadows, we played the game. Now I'm standing here, taking
taking the blame. A lot of y'all was at the freak off too, so don't put it all on me. That's just the truth. I've been up and down this road trying to find my.
Difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you gotta do that. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up.
Nobody knows why liars lie. Winners are not allowed to allow losers to rewrite history. It's God's side and the other side.
Country bumpkin black dude that can't talk good, Uber cabbage, and look like Mr. Potato Head.
I didn't want to be a movie star.
No, you couldn't be a movie star.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my cube aside.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your nightly vitamins. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. Everyone go ahead and hit that like button. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you all for tuning in. I know I had a lengthy intro. That was on purpose to give everybody a chance to get in here. Okay, because you don't want to miss this live. Please pay attention. And remember, you heard it here first. All right. You heard it here first. So first of all, let me say thank you, Overt the Streets, for getting us started with a super chat donation. Peace, love, and blessings to you. I appreciate you. Okay. And so listen. Everyone hit that like button. You can do it absolutely for free. All right. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dr_A_Shakur, TikTok at Dr. A Shakur, and Twitter at DGoddess27. Okay. And so with that all being said, if you don't like what the queen is cooking, you already know what to do. Okay. I don't know why some of the haters get in my chat and try to go in on the queen, honey, like they can bother me. I'm clearly unbothered. Okay. So with that all being said, and without further ado, let's get into it. All right, shout out to Most Hated Bronze Flat Power God. Desmond is in here. Desmond, thank you for your donation. Desmond says, hashtag, you heard it here first. That's right. Yeah, absolutely did. Okay, Nessa G is here. Red Wine Entertainment. Claudette, Samantha, Fat Boo is up in here. So, Lillian X. Okay, Nessa G. Let's get into it. Black Lily. Tawana is here. Byron. Claudette. Okay, everybody, make sure you like the video. Okay, and so with that all been said, let's get started. Most Hated Bronze Flat Power God is in the house. Randy, Red Wine Entertainment. Okay, Ma'at Egypt. DeCarlo is in here. All right, One Who Cares, Claudette. Okay, so let's get this party started, honey. All right, the queen has arrived. Listen, I was supposed to start this live like 2 hours ago. Like 2 hours ago, guys, but I had stuff going on. Hey, Latasha, Eric. Okay, so let's get into it. First things first. I'm sorry, say what? Will Smith just went off. Will Smith just went off, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, okay? That's the first thing we need to address. Will Smith said he ain't got ish to do with Sean Diddy Combs. I don't even like baby oil, okay? So Will Smith is clarifying his relationship with Sean Diddy Combs. Now, the Oscar winner doesn't want to be dragged into Diddy's mess as the music mogul sits behind bars and awaits his S-trafficking trial, telling an audience at a recent comedy show, I ain't got ish to do with Puffy. Okay, Smith addressed the speculation surrounding which celebrities, if any, knew about or participated in Diddy's alleged freak-offs, in which the Bad Boy Records founder is accused of drugging and forcing others to engage in sexual acts with male prostitutes and using the footage as blackmail. So he made it clear that he wasn't one of them. And so Diddy, of course, has denied the allegations. The world that we're in right now, it's really hard for y'all to discern what's real and what's true. This is what the King Richard actor Will Smith said. Okay. This is what he told the crowd while he was on stage at the Observatory North Park in San Diego, California on December the 12th. I've been seeing y'all memes and stuff. I see the memes. Some of this stuff ain't, some of that stuff is funny. Some of it's funny. So in the video obtained by TMZ, Will Smith continued to say, I just want to say this very clearly. I don't have ish to do with Puffy, so you all can stop all them memes. He instructed everyone to stop all that bullshit, adding that I ain't been nowhere near no damn freak off. Listen, I do enough of my own ish. Don't be putting me in other people's bull ish. All right, you tell him, Will, honey. Okay, he clarified. Please pay attention. And he also stated that I ain't been nowhere near that man. Ain't did none of that stupid ish. He also poked fun at the 1,000 bottles of baby oil that authorities seized from Diddy's homes, per the unsealed federal indictment. He said, I don't even like baby oil. So Smith is the father of Jaden and Willow, as we already know. And he has a son, Trey, with his ex. Okay. And basically his comments came after Jay-Z was named in the lawsuit by a Jane Doe, accusing him and Diddy of allegedly taking turns raping her when she was 13 years old. All right. So there you all have it. Will Smith has come out and said what he had to say. All right. So please pay attention. For anybody that had any questions and thought that he had anything to do with it, he's letting you know right off the top. Lady Libra said, definitely first. Thank you, beloved. Okay, Byron said, Queen, tell them to hate theirself. Okay. Exactly. Y'all know how they be hating on the Queen. And I just be sitting here minding my own business. Okay. I just sit here and mind my own business. Like I say in my song lyrics, okay, haters out here trying to copy my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. All right? It's like that all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I want y'all to pay attention, honey. I want y'all to pay attention. Okay? Let's see how long it takes for them to copy this. All right? But anyway, let's get into it. So, fashion mogul, and whom I call the vampire of fashion, Peter Nygard. You see, his whole scenario, and it's interesting because everybody's not talking about him. I want y'all to pay attention. See, didn't I tell you all days and even weeks ago that when it's somebody of my skin tone, everybody jumps on the bandwagon to go in hard in the paint on them. But these same people, you don't hear them talking about Peter Nygard. Oh, but they'll talk about him now because the Queen's talking about him. Okay, that's all. Now, with that all being said, let's get into it. Let's get into it. And I'm going to actually read some of the lawsuit about Mr. Peter Nygard. And for those of you who don't know who this man is, he was a mogul in the fashion industry. Let me just put him up on game. And here's the thing. You all have actually seen this man before. You all who've been following me, if you're new to the channel, maybe you haven't. But those of you who've been following me, I showed you a video about him at least a year and a half ago. Here's the video right here in case you forgot.
Peter and I are investing in it's called SCNT, which takes the egg of a young, perfect woman specimen, takes the egg and takes out the nucleus and puts our DNA in the nucleus. They just go in and take it out.
It's painful, right?
Huh?
Is it painful to use this?
Yeah, a little bit. And this is part of this genetic greatness that we don't see in any other race on the planet. These curvy, sexy black women from Africa. You girls have a kind of a monopoly on this genetic perfection, and we want some of that. So, girls, for $100, we will pay you for your egg.
No, you. $100? Monkey.
So how much do you want for it? Let's bid. I bid $500 for you. Whatever I bid, he's going to outbid me.
I bought about $60,000 worth of eggs.
Yeah.
If you have abortion, that's very valuable. Umbilical cord, and placenta, even your period blood is so rich with stem cells. When you regard it as waste, then it actually should be. It should be captured as recycled, and it shouldn't go to waste. It's life for somebody, you know, and it's life for mankind.
Now, y'all heard that? Offering them peanuts. Okay, offering them peanuts. Lady Libra said, get out. Exactly. Okay, and like I told you guys, at the end of the day, Get Out wasn't just a movie, honey. It was a documentary as far as I'm concerned. Because if you don't think there are people just like him all around this world, okay, wanting to feast off of the melanated people of this world. Please pay attention, honey. No, he didn't. And then he said we have a monopoly on it. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention to the nefariousness of it all. Okay, so now let's get into it. First things first, he was sentenced to 11 years in prison. Okay, so let's talk about that first. Let's talk about that first. So former fashion mogul Peter Nygard has been sentenced to 11 years for assaulting 4 women in Toronto, Canada from the late 1980s to 2005. Now, this man is 83 years old. Okay, he was convicted last November by a jury after he denied charges. Okay, prosecutors sought a 15-year prison sentence for Nygard, arguing that he displayed a pattern of behavior when he assaulted women. Now, his defense team argued for a sentence of less than 2 years, asking the judge to factor in his advanced age. Honey, no one cares about his age. Why should his advanced age even be a factor in any of this? Because he's been doing this stuff for years. Okay, so we're supposed to feel sorry now because he's gotten old when the truth finally comes to light? I don't think so. Okay, I don't think so. They didn't have any empathy for Bill Cosby. Okay, and that whole thing with Bill Cosby was BS because they didn't even have any proof, just hearsay. Now, with that all being said, his defense team argued because of his declining health and the factor of his advanced age, he has already, in the time that he's already spent behind bars. Now, the sentencing is not the end of Nygard's legal challenges. He faces separate sexual assault and sex trafficking charges in Montreal and Winnipeg, as well as in the U.S. He has denied any wrongdoing, and the other charges have not been tested in court. Now, Nygard's 11-year sentence will take into account the time he's already spent behind bars, meaning that he has more than 6 years left to serve. He will be eligible for full parole in about 2 years. Now, when delivering his sentence, Superior Court Justice Robert Goldstein called Nygard an sexual predator and a Canadian success story gone very wrong. He used his wealth and his power to commit these sexual assaults. This is what the judge said. And who does this sound like? Nygard has been accused of using his influence and wealth to systematically assault and traffic women in both the U.S. and Canada over a number of decades when he was at the helm Nygard International, his global clothing design and manufacturing business. Now, over his 6-week criminal trial in Toronto last autumn, prosecutors argued that Nygard, once estimated to be worth at least $700 million, used his status to assault these women over the course of a few decades. Nygard was found guilty of assaulting four out of 5 women in the cases. Now, most of the women detailed similar stories in which Nygard lured them with the promise of work, sound familiar, or professional help in the fashion industry. Each of them were invited separately to a tour by Nygard at his Toronto office that ended in his private bedroom suite. Now, I just want you all to pay attention because here's the thing. Here is the thing. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Okay? This man is accused of the same things that Diddy is accused of. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. This man is accused of the same things that Diddy is accused of. All right? But y'all haven't heard any of these people going in on Diddy talking about him. Y'all haven't heard them say a mumbling word. They're not going in hard in the paint on this man. I want y'all to pay attention, specifically people who don't look like me. Okay, but let's continue. So he then raped or assaulted them inside the bedroom. The victims were ages 16, minors, to 28 years old at the time. One woman described in her victim impact statement how the assault derailed her life and left her with post-traumatic stress disorder, severe depression, and anxiety. Another said the assault led her to distrust men and avoid long-term relationships for decades. Now, a 63-year-old woman, I'm deeply saddened by the lack of love in my life, she told the court. Sharon Mahoney, a therapist who has worked with four of the accusers, read statements they had written outside of the court after the sentencing. Several said that the sentence has given them some amount of closure, saying, "We did this to ensure every victim of S assault will remember this trial and feel the strength and confidence to come forward and not be threatened by social status or money." Nygard was due to be sentenced for his crimes shortly after his conviction in November, but the process had been repeatedly pushed back, in part due to two of his lawyers resigning over ethical concerns. Now, during the sentencing hearings, Crown Prosecutor Neville Galwala asked the judge to impose a 15-year sentence on Nygard, which he said would take into account his crimes and time he has already served behind bars. Now, his attorney, Jerry Wiebe, asked for less time, arguing that a lengthy sentence would lower Nygard's life expectancy due to his already deteriorating health. Nobody cares, sir. Nobody cares. And here's the thing. He may be in his 80s, but this man is in perfect, I'm not going to say perfect, but he was at least in good health and physical shape. I mean, look at him. Look at him. Okay? Look at him. All right? He looks like one of those villain superheroes. Okay? He looks like he need to be playing in the Return of Lex Luthor. It's all I'm saying. But we're supposed to feel sorry for his nefarious self. I'm sorry. Nope. Not going to have time for it. Okay? Not going to have time for it. Okay? And so anyway, let's get into this lawsuit. Let's get into this lawsuit. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Then again, maybe I will, because it's only 22 pages. So, United States District Court of Southern District of New York. All right, and so let's talk about it. Because he was extradited. At all times relevant to this indictment, Peter Nygard, the defendant, was the leader and founder of an international clothing design, manufacturing, and supply business headquartered in Winnipeg, Canada, with major offices and warehouses in the United States, including New York City and California. Now, the fashion business has multiple product lines and brands, many of which bear variants on the name Nygard. At all times relevant to this indictment, Peter Nygard, the defendant, operated a constellation of corporate entities organized in various countries, including Canada, the United States, the Bahamas, Barbados, and Hong Kong. Okay, the Nygard Group is what they called it. Now, certain of the Canadian and U.S. entities in the Nygard Group directly operate Nygard's fashion business. At all times relevant to this indictment, Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown, including employees of the Nygard Group, used company funds, employees, resources, and influence to recruit, entice, transport, to harbor and maintain adult and minor age female victims for Nygard's sexual gratification and, on occasion, the gratification of Nygard's personal friends and business associates by, among other things, trafficking, interstate and international transport for purposes of engaging in prostitution and other illegal sexual activities and related offenses. Does this sound familiar? How come nobody's talking about this? How come this isn't blowing up the airwaves? Okay, how come people aren't doing videos on this every day? Okay, but let's continue. Now, with that all being said, Nygard and others, known and unknown, including employees of the Nygard Group, used force, fraud, and coercion to cause women to engage in commercial sex with Nygard and others, and to maintain with Nygard against their will. Nygard and others, known and unknown, including employees of the Nygard Group, have engaged in obstructive conduct aimed at preventing witnesses from reporting Nygard's sexual crimes. Now, the Nygard enterprise, including its leadership, its membership, and its associates, constitutes an enterprise as defined in Title 18, United States Code, Section 1961, 4, that is a group of entities and individuals associated in fact. The Nygard enterprise consists of Peter Nygard, the defendant, entities within the Nygard group, including but not limited to Nygard Inc., a United States entity, Nygard International Partnership, a Canadian entity, and Nygard Holdings Ltd. This is a Bohemian entity. Individuals employed by the Nygard group, others known and unknown. Okay, the enterprise constitutes an ongoing organization whose members function as a continuing unit for the common purpose of achieving the objectives of the enterprise. The Nygard enterprise operates in Southern District of New York. I want y'all to pay attention. It's a whole lot of parallels in these stories. Okay, they operate in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere. At all times relevant to this indictment, the enterprise has engaged in and its activities affected interstate and foreign commerce. Now, the purposes of the enterprise included the following: operating an international clothing design, manufacturing, and supply business, preserving, protecting, promoting, and enhancing the power, reputation, and profits of the enterprise, enriching members and associates of the enterprise, including Peter Nygard, the defendant, who was the leader of the enterprise, and preserving, protecting, promoting, and enhancing the reputation of Peter Nygard, the defendant. Now, the purpose of Peter Nygard, the defendant, and his co-conspirators in the racketeering conspiracy were to use the facade of legitimacy created by the enterprise. This all sounds familiar, right? But let me continue. As well as the enterprise's business operations, reputation, and resources to facilitate and to conceal the racketeering activity, including trafficking, interstate and international transport for the purposes of engaging in prostitution and other illegal sexual activities and related offenses. From at least in or about 1995 up to and including in or about 2020 and the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown, being persons employed by and associated with the enterprise, described in paragraphs 1 through 6 of this indictment, knowingly combined, conspired, confederated, and agreed together and with each other to violate the racketeering laws of the United States, to wit, Section 1962C of Title 18 United States Code, that is to conduct and participate directly and indirectly in the conduct of the affairs of the enterprise which was engaged in and the activities of which affected interstate and foreign commerce through a pattern of racketeering activity. This is all nefarious. I just want y'all to pay attention. Okay, I just want you all to pay attention. And matter of fact, let me just share this on the screen. Okay, let me just share this on the screen. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. This is all deplorable. This is all the same things that Diddy is accused of. Okay, I want you all to pay attention because, like I said, you heard it here first. Now, with that all been said, let me continue. So I'm going to skip past some of this. Now, means and methods of the racketeering conspiracy. Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown used various means and methods to solicit Nygard's victims. Do y'all hear this? Soliciting of victims. Isn't that exactly what Rodney Jones, aka Lil Rod, said in the lawsuit filed against Diddy? Who were then forcibly assaulted, drugged, and coerced in sexual conduct with Nygard. You see, I want you all to pay attention to how all these people with these big platforms, okay, with these big platforms who are going in hard in the paint about Diddy and Jay-Z, making them the trending topics every day, why they never talk about these people to the same extent. And I want you all to remember that I was the one, you heard it here first, who talked about Mike Jeffries from Abercrombie and Fitch. I talked about him in January, okay? And then he got indicted, okay? Why was nobody talking about that but me? Why was nobody talking about Vince McMahon? I have several questions is all I'm saying, okay? I have several questions. And then you have people who look like me going on these platforms to help them talk about people who look like Diddy and Jay-Z, but never saying a mumbling word about people like this. Let me continue. Let me continue. Now, Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown used various means and methods to solicit Nygard's victims, who were then forcibly assaulted and drugged. This is also deplorable, and coerced into sexual contact. Nygard and others of the Nygard group employees all transported victims over state and international lines at Nygard's sole direction and authority for sex with Nygard. Among the means and methods by which Nygard and others pursued their legal purposes were the following. Using the ruse of modeling and other fashion industry jobs or other career advancement in order to lure victims into Nygard's orbit and to keep them there, using Nygard group funds to pay for pamper parties. I want y'all to pay attention. Y'all know Diddy has freak-offs. Okay, Diddy had the freak-offs. These people, this man, was having pamper parties, is what he called it. It's the same thing, but for some reason, this doesn't sound as salacious because this man has the complexion for the protection. No matter their crime, they will still have the complexion for the protection. Exactly, beloved. Exactly. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. But let me continue. So now, using Nygard group funds to pay for pamper parties, named for the free food, drink, and spa services that Nygard made available at such parties, and other victim recruitment tools to pay sexual partners, often referred to as girlfriends, some of whom were victims of Nygard, and to pay for various expenses for girlfriends, including travel, living expenses, dental work, immigration assistance, plastic surgery, abortions, child support, and medical treatments. Payments to girlfriends and other victims were often thinly disguised as payroll or payments for professional contracts with the girlfriends, sometimes identified as models, personal assistants, or Comcor employees, a Nygard group shorthand for communications coordinator. That's what they called it. Using Nygard group employees to organize pamper parties and the other victim recruitment events, directly recruit victims, arrange travel for girlfriends and other victims, manage payments to girlfriends, and manage the payment of girlfriends and victim-related expenses. Let me say something, because I got to say it. It has to be said. It has to be said. At the end of the day, everything is not about race. Everything is not about black and white. Isn't that what people say? Or is it? Or is it? Because nobody's really talking about this man. This man is accused of almost the exact same crimes as Diddy. Almost the exact same crimes as Diddy. But silence? No, let's focus on Diddy and Jay-Z. That's what everybody does. Okay, that's what everybody does. And like I said, you have people who look like me going around to these platforms helping them to drag Diddy and Jay-Z. But they're not dragging this man, nor will they. Now that the Queen has, maybe they will. I want y'all to pay attention. I want y'all to pay attention, but let's continue. Using Nygard group employees, including members of Comcor, to recruit women and girls, okay, to attend pamper parties, dinners, and poker games by sending invitations and following up communications to prospective guests and to associates of Nygard, who also recruited victims to come to the events. Comcor employees screened attendees for their physical appearance to confirm that they would appeal to Nygard before allowing them onto a Nygard property. They also photographed attendees and maintained a register of personal information of all attendees, documenting, among other things, attendees' names, contact information, weights, and physical measurements. Now, what I want you all to pay attention to, beloveds, what I want you all to pay attention to is that the Queen of Receipts will call out anybody and everybody. I don't care what race or ethnic group you are. And that specifically is for the people who say, oh, you're going in on Jay-Z and Diddy. I'll go in on everybody. Okay? I don't care who you are and what race you are. And y'all who've been following me know that. Okay? Boba says he was pimping out the women to his rich billionaire friends on his island. It's just all nefarious. Arjumon says Former fashion mogul Peter Nygard has been sentenced to 11 years for assaulting. Yeah, I already said that, beloved. I already said that at the beginning of the broadcast. You probably came in late. But at the end of the day, please pay attention. Okay? Please pay attention. Durana said, that you do, Queen. Thank you, beloved. Okay? Thank you. All right. And so Red Wine says, that's facts, Queen. Thank you. Now let's continue because this is all nefarious. I want y'all to pay attention. So with that all being said, and listen to this. Now, Nygard Group employees kept records of these travel itineraries and of travel documents for girlfriends and other victims, including copies of adult victims' passports and at least one case, a copy of a minor victim's passport. This is all a shame. This is all a shame. Now, using Nygard Group employees for property management, security services, and as drivers. Okay, that's what they were doing. That's what they were doing. Now, in these capacities, Nygard Group employees arranged accommodations for girlfriends, facilitated pamper parties, dinners, and poker games, and all of that. All right. To recruit and abuse victims and controlled access to and from Nygard properties, including refusing to let women and girls, including girlfriends, leave without Nygard's approval. Drivers were also responsible for transporting Nygard's girlfriends to swingers clubs. I mean, he was really getting it in. And let me just tell you all something else. Those of you have been following me, you know that I was the first one, you heard that here first too, who called out that SEX cult NXIVM, okay, that was run by Keith Rainier and the girl from Small Town or Smallville. Remember that? Allison Mack, I believe was her name. Okay, and they were having these people tied up in warehouses, and he was branding these people as if they were cattle. That story was so salacious, it was a hot mess. But who was talking about it? I just want y'all to pay attention. Sweet D says, no discrimination or the depravity from the Queen. Exactly. Okay, exactly. Please pay attention. The numbers not matching, says Leon. Okay, let's get the numbers to matching. Laverne says, Queen never discriminate. That's the truth. Exactly. Thank you, beloved. Red Wine Entertainment said they hide behind businesses. Yes, they do. They open these shell companies, honey. This is what they do. This is what these devils do. And then they victimize people, but not only victimize people, they have other people go out and recruit them. It's what they do. So anyway, with that all being said, likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you. So using Nygard Group employees and funds to garner good publicity and to quash negative publicity related to allegations that Nygard raped or assaulted women and girls. Using Nygard Group employees and funds to intimidate, threaten, and corruptly persuade individuals who allege that Nygard was engaged in assault and trafficking in the United States. Now I want y'all to pay attention because Diddy is charged of doing this in the United States. This man is charged with doing this in the United States, the Bahamas, Canada, and elsewhere. I want y'all to pay attention, including by paying witnesses for false statements and affidavits. Now, see what people who look like him will do, who haven't been reporting on this and going in on it, they'll try to act like they never heard of this story. Okay? They'll act like they never heard of this story. I want y'all to pay attention because I got time tonight, but let me continue. So with that all being said, with his nefarious, depraved mind self, okay, he has a depraved mind. Anybody doing all of this, all right, and this is not exclusive. This also includes Diddy, okay, for his allegations. But this man's going to all of these different countries, and then including by paying witnesses for false statements and affidavits, threatening witnesses with arrest, jail, prosecution, civil litigation, and reputational harm, and attempting to cause reputational harm and discredit potential witnesses by disseminating false or embarrassing information. This man was doing a whole lot. Now, Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown, including employees of the Nygard Group, used fraud, force, and coercion to cause at least dozens of adult and minor-age female victims to engage in commercial SEX by recruiting, enticing, transporting, harboring, and maintaining adult and minor-age female victims for Nygard's sexual gratification, and on occasion, the gratification of Nygard's personal friends and business associates. Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown frequently targeted women and minor girls girls who came from disadvantaged economic backgrounds and or who had a history of abuse. Now I want you all to pay attention. What do you think these people look like? What do you think these people looked like who he was doing this to? What do you think these people look like? Ask yourselves. This man sounds worse than Hugh Hefner, who also, by the way, never got any consequences for his nefarious actions. And trust me, he had nefarious actions. Okay? I want you all to pay attention. What do you think these women looked like? What do you think they looked like? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So, people who came, minor-aged girls and women he targeted from disadvantaged economic backgrounds and or who had a history of abuse. Nygard maintained control over his victims through threats, promises to grant or withholding modeling opportunities and other career advancement, granting and withholding of financial support and by other coercive means. This sounds like Diddy. You see, here's the thing you need to pay attention to. This man is 83 years old. Diddy is merely a carbon copy of him. Where do you think Diddy learned this stuff from? I'm not saying he learned it from him specifically, but he sure learned it from somebody like him, possibly Clive Davis, who's in his 90s. Okay? I want y'all to pay attention. Now, Nygard maintained control over his victims with all of these threats and coercive means, including constant surveillance, restrictions of movement, and physical isolation. Nygard forcibly assaulted some of his victims. Other victims were forcibly assaulted by Nygard's associates or drugged to ensure their compliance with Nygard's sexual demands. Some of Nygard's victims were minors. This is also heartbreaking. Now, to recruit victims, Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown, used a network of trusted associates, girlfriends, and Nygard Group employees. Many of the victims were initially invited to dinners or parties at Nygard's residences, particularly in the Bahamas and in Marina del Rey, California, where Nygard regularly hosted dinner parties and larger, so-called pamper parties for female guests. Many victims were initially induced, coerced, and forced to have sex with Nygard through one or more of the following: false promises of modeling and fashion jobs, the supply of alcohol and or drugs, including the drugging of drinks without the victims. I'm sorry, say what? The drugging of who? Drinks. Yeah, that's right. Same thing Diddy's accused of. I just want you all to pay attention. Okay, I want you all to pay attention with the victim's knowledge and physical force. Following sexual activity, Nygard typically paid victims with cash that he accessed through the Nygard Group. Now, in some instances, Nygard intended these payments to secure a victim's silence. In other instances, Nygard intended these payments to facilitate future sexual activity with the victim induced through force, fraud, and coercion. Now, I want you all to pay attention because here's the thing. In reality, a lot of what he's saying is the same stuff Diddy was accused of, but this is a criminal indictment. This is a criminal indictment. Now, with that all being said, his indictment is worse than Diddy's. Now, I'm not going to say they're not going to give Diddy a superseding indictment because you heard it here first. I already told you all that. But as per this story, his indictment is worse than Diddy's, okay? I just want you all to pay attention to that as well, okay? I want you all to pay attention to that as well. Giggle said, it's interesting how Hugh Hefner and his Playboy Mansion never raised red flags for anyone. It was seen as fun and cute. Of course. Of course it was fun and cute. Absolutely. Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown maintained ongoing personal and quasi-professional relationships with certain of Nygard's victims, whom he referred to as girlfriends, assistants, or both. Nygard required these girlfriends to travel and to stay with him regularly, including in the Southern District of New York, to engage in sexual activity at his direction, including with Nygard and with each other and with others, and to recruit new women and minor-age girls for Nygard to have relations with. Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown maintain control over these girlfriends for the purpose of inducing additional acts of commercial S through a variety of means, including force, fraud, and coercion. For example, Nygard and his associates provided alcohol and illegal drugs, including Coca-Cola and ecstasy, to girlfriends in advance of the sexual activity and threatened or berated girlfriends if they did not agree to participate. I'm sorry, I could literally put this thing away right now and read Diddy's accusations, okay? At least the civil ones, because this is all sounding very much so the same. So berated the girlfriends if they did not agree to participate. Nygard sometimes forcibly assaulted girlfriends, assaulted them, meaning he beat their behinds, okay? Like Cass's behind got beaten. But this isn't salacious. Please pay attention. Nygard sometimes forcibly assaulted girlfriends who do not or did not comply with Nygard's sexual demands or caused others to do so at his direction or with his approval. Nygard dictated the daily activities of girlfriends and the details of their appearance, including how girlfriends could style their hair and with clothing he would permit them to wear. Girlfriends were also under constant surveillance by Nygard and his associates and were not permitted to leave premises without Nygard's express permission. Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown paid for commercial sex using funds from the Nygard group. Although victims were often first paid in cash on a transactional basis, once Nygard elevated a particular victim to the status of girlfriend, he typically paid her a monthly stipend or allowance rather than per sexual transaction, frequently by putting such girlfriends on the payroll of one of the entities within the Nygard group as models, assistants, or in other positions. Doesn't that sound like what they claim Diddy was allegedly doing for Young Miami? Doesn't that sound like the same thing? Please pay attention. This is all a whole mess. Other victims were first employed by the Nygard group for ostensibly legitimate positions, such as project manager or communications assistant. Nygard also provided payments in kind to these victims, including plastic surgery, medical procedures, rent, and travel, as well as making additional promises of help with their careers. However, for these victims, Nygard made clear that succumbing to his sexual demands was a condition of their continued employment and other benefits. Pamper parties, dinners, and poker games. Now, Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown recruited victims at pamper parties that Nygard hosted at his properties in Marina del Rey and the Bahamas. Now, I want to ask you all this. Once in the chat, if you think that more likely than not, this man had some of the same people at his pamper parties that Diddy had at his freak-offs. Once in the chat, I want to know what you all think about this. And please get the likes up. Do you all think, once in the chat, if you think that more likely than not, the same people that attended his pamper parties were some of the same people at the freak-offs? Because mind you, he was doing some of this in New York. That's why he was tried in the Southern District of New York. Okay, everybody's putting once. That's exactly what I think too. Now, women and girls were often invited to the parties by Comcor employees. They were also sometimes invited by girlfriends or assistants or Nygard's friends or business associates. Nygard group employees were responsible for taking photographs and obtaining the contact information of pamper party guests to ensure the Nygard approved of the physical appearance. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. To make sure he approved of their physical appearance. Now, you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the lawsuit against Diddy, where they said that Diddy said everybody had to wear revealing dresses, okay, short dresses and skirts, and nothing less than 6-inch heels. Nothing less than 6-inch heels. That's what this sounds like. Okay, so they had to be approved he had to prove their physical appearance of each guest and to create a record of approved guests for future parties, dinners, poker games, and general recruitment. Now, do you all think that he was recording this? Once in the chats, if you think that he was recording these things just as Diddy has been accused of. Once in the chat, if you think that he was recording these things. Because let's not forget, I told you guys, Jeffrey Epstein was absolutely recording things just like Diddy was, because that's why I showed you the footage of them walking out of Jeffrey Epstein's house with boxes of recordings that we've never seen or heard any further of, and none of the people have yet been identified from those recordings. Okay? Most of you all putting yes. But let me continue. So goes on to say, uploading this information to a corporate server or document management system or emailing it directly to Nygard for Nygard's review. Ensuring that Nygard has supplies like protection for the cucumber, lubricant, and cash all available. Nygard and others known and unknown also use dinner parties and poker games at Nygard's Marina Del Rey and Bahamas properties as a means of recruitment. When women and girls were invited, they were invited through similar channels to those used for pamper parties and underwent the same screening procedure as pamper party attendants. At the pamper parties, dinners, and poker games, Nygard frequently used a girlfriend or another person in his employ to approach a chosen woman or girl to indicate his interest in S activity. The girlfriend or employee facilitated an S encounter by, among other things, encouraging alcohol and recreational drug use and talking favorably of Nygard and the opportunities he may make available to the victim. Like, oh, he can get your career popping. He can get you in the modeling industry. He can get you, like, this is what he was doing. This is what he was doing. Now, and paid her in cash, usually between several hundred and several $1,000s in U.S. currency after the interaction. Isn't that about how much they said Diddy was paying? At times, unwilling participants, including minor girls, were drugged to force their compliance with Nygard's demands. At other times, victims had no advance warning of Nygard's interest in S activity and were instead lured to a more secluded area of the property where Nygard used physical force and or psychological pressure to coerce them into sex. Now, let's talk about the Swingers Club connections. Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown also regularly patronized sex and swingers clubs with one or more girlfriends, including clubs in New York City, Miami, Los Angeles, and Winnipeg. I mean, he was literally in the same place as Diddy was. Wasn't Diddy in New York doing nefarious things allegedly? Wasn't he in Miami and Los Angeles doing the same alleged things? Well, that's where he was too. While at the clubs, and you don't think they bumped into each other and they had some of the same exact guests, probably recruited the same sex workers from the same sex company. Now, while at the clubs, Nygard directed and pressured girlfriends through manipulation, intimidation, degradation, threats, and on occasion, force to engage in relations with other men in order to facilitate Nygard having relations with other women and for his own sexual gratification. At these clubs, Nygard frequently forced his victims to engage in group S activity to which they had not even consented. This is all sick. So in other words, he had people watching when things were being done against people's wishes and consent, just like Diddy's been accused of. And Jay-Z also. Let's not forget Jay-Z, okay? Jay-Z has been accused of the same thing as it pertains to the one victim he's accused of. Nygard also engaged in sexual swaps with male friends and business associates who would bring Nygard a date for sex in exchange for access to one of Nygard's girlfriends for the same thing, sex. Didn't we hear a story once in the chat, beloveds? If you heard the story, and I'm not saying this is true, but did you all hear anything about Ray J having something going with Beyonce? Once in the chat, if you all heard that, because that's what this sounds like, swapping and switching and all that stuff. Once in the chat, if you heard any rumor, because that's all it is. I haven't been able to substantiate it, nor have I tried, actually. But if you heard anything about Ray J and Beyonce, Okay, I thought you would have. But let's continue because this all sounds like the same manual, okay? The same handbook of instructions. Girlfriends were not consulted in advance that they would be traded for sex, and Nygard often pressured them to comply with such swaps at his direction through manipulation, intimidation, degradation, and threats. Now let's talk about the girlfriend connections. This is all just sick behavior. All of these people have to and must be called out. Okay? Think about what that woman who was 13 at the time says that Diddy and Jay-Z did to her, how they treated her, what she went through, how she was traumatized, and all of that. Think about that. This is all crazy. And then Diddy and Jay-Z, will they end up with the same fate as this man? Will they sit in the same cell? Now, Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown also relied on girlfriends and assistants to identify new potential victims and facilitate Nygard's access to them. Girlfriends regularly contacted other women, including their personal friends, inviting them to travel with them or to visit one of Nygard's residences. Some girlfriends also approached women and minor girls in public places like Times Square and Los Angeles shops and invited them back to Nygard's residence or hotel room. Nygard compensated girlfriends and assistants for their role in securing the new partners for him. And by that, I mean partners. As part of his agreement to conduct and participate in the conduct of the affairs of Nygard Enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity, Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown agreed that multiple acts indictable under Title 18 under States Code Sections 1591A and B, 1 and 2, would be committed to wit a conspirator would, in or affecting interstate commerce, recruit, entice, harbor, transport, provide, obtain, advertise, maintain, patronize, and solicit by any means persons and would benefit financially and by receiving anything of value from participation in a venue which has engaged in any such act, knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that means of force, threats of force and fraud and coercion, and any combination of such means would be used to cause the person to engage in commercial sex activities or acts in violation of Title 18 United States Code 1591 A and B 1 and 2. Such persons have not attained the age of 18 years and would be caused to engage in one or more commercial acts and violation of Title 18 United States Code Sections 1591 A and B 1 and 2. The grand jury further charges from in or about 1995 up to and included in or about 2020 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown, willfully and knowingly in and affecting interstate commerce, did combine, conspire, confederate, and agree to recruit, entice, harbor, transport, provide, obtain, advertise, maintain, patronize, and solicit by any means necessary, okay, by any means, persons to benefit financially and by receiving anything of value from participation in a venue which engaged in any such act, knowing in advance or knowing in reckless disregard of the fact that one, means of force, threats, force, fraud, and coercion, and any combination of such means would be used to cause the persons to engage in commercial S-acts relations, okay, or S-acts in violation of Title 18. Now, some such persons have not attained the age of 18 and would be caused to engage in one or more commercial, okay, they're just being repetitive right there. Now, I'm going to scroll on down. This is all so sick. Like, this stuff is really a whole hot mess. So then, hold on, let me go back just a bit. Now, the grand jury charges from at least in or about 2017 up to and including or about 2018 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Peter Nygard, the defendant, knowingly in and affecting commerce and affecting interstate and foreign commerce, did recruit, entice, harbor, transport, provide, obtain, advertise, maintain, patronize, and solicit by any means a person and did benefit financially and by receiving anything of value from participation in a venue which has engaged in such acts, knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that force, fraud, and coercion as described in Title 18, United States Code, Section 1591. Okay, we're going to skip past all of that. Now, and any such combination of means would be used to cause the person to engage in a commercial S act and aided and abetted the same. To wit, Nygard recruited, enticed, transported, provided, and maintained victim number 2, and caused victim number 2 to engage in commercial S acts, knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that victim 2 was engaging in commercial acts or S acts as a result of force, fraud, and coercion. From at least in or about 2018 up to and including or about 2019 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Peter Nygard, the defendant, knowingly in and affecting interstate and foreign commerce, did recruit, entice, harbor, transport, provide, obtain, advertise, maintain, patronize, and solicit by any means a person and did benefit financially and receiving anything of value from participation in a venture which has engaged in such acts, knowing and in reckless disregard. This is all a lot. Okay, this is all a lot. I want you all to pay attention. Okay? Nita's and Mike's World says, I don't know why people are so blind to these trifling celebrities. Right. And so many people engaged in celebrity worship. So many people engage in celebrity worship and think that these people are literally the cat's meow and sit there and vouch for and cape for these people, knowing that they have been accused of nefarious things, but they don't want to believe it. That's what they don't want to do. That's what they don't want to do. But Jay-Z and Diddy, they need to share a cell with this man. Okay, that's what they need to do. If the allegations are true, of course. They need to share a cell with this man. Because it sounds like they're carbon copies. That's what that sounds like. Like they're exact carbon copies of this man, according to the allegations. And I'm not saying that any of this is true about Diddy and Jay-Z, because they maintain their innocence. And remember, they are presumed innocent until further notice, okay? Until proven guilty. So, and any such combination of such means will be used to cause the person to engage in commercial S acts and aided and abetted the same. Okay, to wit, Nygard recruited, enticed, transported, provided, and maintained victim number 3. And victim number 3 to engage in commercial S acts, knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that victim 3 was engaging in commercial S acts as a result of force, fraud, and coercion. Force, fraud, and coercion. Sound familiar? Now, with that all being said, the grand jury further charges, and this is count 6 of the indictment. Okay, we're into count 6 of the indictment. Now, the grand jury further charges that in or about 2012 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown, knowingly transported and attempted to transport a minor who was less than 18 years old in interstate and foreign commerce, with intent that the minor engage in prostitution and aided and abetted the same. To wit, Nygard and others known and unknown arranged to have minor victim 1 travel across state and international lines, including to New York, for the purpose of engaging in prostitution. Now, the grand jury further charges from in or about 2017 up to and including in or about 2018 and the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown, knowingly transported and attempted to transport persons in interstate and foreign commerce with intent that the persons engage in prostitution and aided and abetted the same. To wit, Nygard and others known and unknown arranged to have victim 2 travel across state and international lines, including to New York, for the purpose of engaging in prostitution. This is a darn shame. The grand jury further charges. Now we're into count 8. How many counts are there in this nefarious indictment? I want you all to pay attention. I want you all to pay attention. Okay? I want you all to pay attention. Diddy's Baby Oil says, Queen Shakur, hey, my love, how you been doing? I'm great, beloved. Thank you. Leon says, chicken's coming home to roost. Absolutely. Okay. Oh, crazy. Buckers DC said, Queen just smoked the chat. I'm just saying. So anyway, let's continue. Nomasi says, please pay attention. Exactly. Okay. Exactly. This is a hot mess. So with that all being said, from, in, or about, now this is count 8, transportation for purpose of prostitution. The grand jury further charges from in or about 2018 up to and including in or about 2019 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere. Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown, knowingly transported and attempted to transport persons in interstate and foreign commerce with intent that the person engaged in prostitution and aided and abetted the same, to wit, Nygard and others known and unknown, arranged to have victim 3 travel across state and international lines, including to New York, for the purpose of engaging in prostitution. In or about 2010 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown, knowingly transported a person in interstate and foreign commerce with intent that the person engaged in prostitution with intent to engage in S activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, and attempted to do the same, to wit, Nygard and others known and unknown, arranged to have victim 4 travel across state lines, including to New York, for the purpose of engaging in prostitution and with the intent that Nygard would engage in one or more S acts with victim 4 in violation of New York penal law, sections 130.52 and 130.55. Now, interestingly enough, beloveds, not only has this man been accused and convicted. He's literally been convicted. But not only of the same things as Diddy and Jay-Z, this is the first time you all are hearing about his indictment, hearing all of the charges in his indictment. And you should ask yourselves, why is that? Why is that? But like I said, oh, now they'll talk about it because I'm calling it out. Okay? I want you all to pay attention. I think I might have to do a TikTok about this, because I don't have that many followers on here, but I sure have over 100,000 on TikTok. I might have to do a TikTok about this because this is racial disparity. That's what this is. When we can sit here and talk about Diddy and Jay-Z and their nefarious actions, but we can't talk about the other people who have the same allegations and who've actually been convicted, by the way. Convicted. Diddy and Jay-Z have not even been found guilty. And everybody's hopping on the bandwagon. This man's already been convicted and sentenced. And ain't nobody saying nothing yet. So, as a result of committing the offense alleged in count 1 of this indictment, Peter Nygard, the defendant, shall forfeit to the United States, pursuant to Title 18, United States Code, Section 1963, any and all interest, and the defendant, any interest that the defendant acquired or maintained in violation of Title 18, United States Code, Section 1962. Any and all interest in, securities of, claims against, and property or contractual rights of any kind affording a source of influence over the enterprise named and described herein, which the defense established, operated, controlled, conducted, and participated in the conduct of, in violation of Title 18, United States Code, Section 1962, and any and all property constituting and derived from proceeds obtained directly and indirectly from racketeering activity in violation of Title 18, United States Code, Section 1962, and offense alleged in count 1 of this indictment, including but not limited to a sum of money in United States currency representing the amount of proceeds traceable to the commission of the offense alleged in count 1. So this is all so nefarious. Now, with that all been said, let's have a word from my sponsor before we continue.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
So with that all been said, beloveds, don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes for your hair at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also purchase it at Walmart.com. And for the men, don't forget that she has beard oil. Okay, I mean, this is a lot. I want you all to pay attention. This man had people out here recruiting and doing all this stuff. Had people out here recruiting and doing all this stuff. And what I want you all to pay attention to is that some of these people that are quiet on this, they did talk about Epstein, but the reason they talked about Epstein is because there was no Diddy story. There was no Diddy story. Please pay attention. I'm pointing this out for a reason. There was no Diddy story and there was no Jay-Z story. There was, in other words, nobody looking like me when Epstein was being brought to the forefront. When Harvey Weinstein was brought to the forefront, then we had R. Kelly. And R. Kelly, his story took over the headlines. Okay, from Harvey Weinstein, who had way more victims than R. Kelly. 82 that I remember reading the names of them. One by one, I read all the names. That was just the ones that were brave enough to come forward. But R. Kelly took over the headlines. Okay? And why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Okay, please pay attention. Please pay attention. This is all really a hot mess as far as I'm concerned. It's just a whole hot mess. But let me continue. So as a result of committing the S trafficking offenses in violation of Title 18, United States Code Sections 1591, A, B, 1 and 2, 1594 and 2, alleged in counts 2 through 5 of this indictment, Peter Nygard, the defendant, shall forfeit to the United States pursuant to Title 18, United States Code Section 1594, 1, any property, real and personal, that was involved in, used, or intended to be used to commit or to facilitate the commission of the offenses, and any property traceable to such property. And number 2, any property, real, personal, constituting or derived from any proceeds obtained directly or indirectly as the result of the offenses, or any property traceable to such properties. If any of the above described for forfeitable property as a result of any act or commission of the defendant cannot be located upon the exercise of due diligence, B, has been transferred or sold to or deposited with a third party, C, has been placed beyond the jurisdiction of the court, and D, has been substantially diminished in value, or E, has been commingled with other property which cannot be subdivided without difficulty, it is the intent of the United States, pursuant to Title 18, United States Code Section 1963, and Title 21, United States Code Section 853, to seek forfeiture of any other property of the defendants up to the value of the above forfeitable property. Signed, Audrey Strauss, Acting United States Attorney. Y'all heard that? That is all a lot. Okay, condolences to the victims. Condolences to the victims. Because this is a lot. This is absolutely a whole bunch of nefariousness. Okay? Desmond said, heard it here first. Okay, yeah. Let's get that trending in the chat, beloveds. Hashtag you heard it here first. Okay, let's put that in the chat. Why don't we? You heard it here first. Now, with that all being said, I find it all very interesting. I find it all very interesting. And here's the thing. Let me just tell you all about this man. Let me just tell you all about him. You see, because one thing about it that we can say Diddy's sons, Diddy's children are all supporting him. But you know what? This man's son is supposedly standing with his accusers. So let's talk about that. Why don't we? Why Peter Nygard's son is supporting his father's accusers. In a downtown Toronto courtroom on Sunday, a jury found disgraced fashion mogul Peter Nygard, age 82, guilty on 4 counts of assault. His son, Kaizen Bickle, sat in the front row. This is all a hot mess. Sat in the front row. Justice was served here. This is what Mr. Bickle said soon after outside the Toronto courthouse. We're dealing with a systemic monster. This is what his son said. This is what his own son said. We are dealing with a systemic monster who used his business talents for evil to prey on others. This man might be worse than Diddy. And in fact, he absolutely is. Because Diddy's not going around trying to get black women to harvest their stem cells and their eggs and all of that and DNA for him for a measly $500. Isn't that what he was offering them? He's a whole vampire. I want you all to pay attention. And that's not the only reason I call him that. Now, the 6-week trial had been the first time Mr. Bickle had seen his father since a dinner party in 2019, where he says he saw Nygard inappropriately touch a girl, saying that's where Nygard kind of died. This is what Mr. Bickle said, okay, who has since assumed his mother's last name. He's so ashamed of him. Shout out to this young man. He's calling it out, okay? He's not trying to cape for him. He's not trying to cover for him. He's calling him out. He even went so far as to change his last name. Now, you already know if there's any money left, his father's going to take him out of the will. He won't be getting any inheritance is all I'm saying. Please pay attention. He called him out, has taken on his mother's last name. His own son despises him. His own son despises him. Now, the alleged incident was a shock to Mr. Bickle, who said he had loved his father. I knew a different man, he told reporters. Since then, it's been a massive effort to seek justice. A lawyer for Nygard did not immediately respond to a request for comment regarding his son's accusation. He has previously denied all allegations against him. Nygard's stunning fall from grace ending a decades-long career at the helm of a global fashion empire has been publicly supported by Mr. Bickle, who spent the past 4 years cooperating with authorities and assisting those who say they were victims of his father's abuse. This young man cooperated with the folks, with the feds, against his own father. Now, at the 2019 dinner, Mr. Bickle said he had reported his father to an executive at Nygard's company, but was rebuffed and ridiculed, told by his father he was mentally unwell. So his father called him crazy. After he's the one out here acting like he's depraved, okay, out here, basically blackmailing people, coercing people, forcing people, threatening and intimidating people to do what he wants for his own sexual gratification. But his son has mental health issues. And goes on to say, I got a taste of what it was like to blow the whistle against a monster or a powerful predator, his son said. Now, behind the scenes, Mr. Bickle made contact with lawyers involved in a civil case against his father, volunteering information to them and to investigators. And at Nygard Company, Mr. Bickle said he slowed efforts to liquidate the corporation's assets, waging business battles to delay Nygard from moving them offshore. Y'all hear this? Shout out to this young man, because unlike Diddy's sons, he's not trying to cape for his father, and he's not trying to help him hide assets and any of that. Okay, he told the authorities where the bones were buried. That's what he did. Okay, and then stalled him, used stall tactics so that he wouldn't be able to liquidate his assets and get them offshore to hide them. Measure Man said, love this channel. We are sending as many over here as possible. We run an MPO counter trafficking here in Houston. Thank you, beloved. I really, really appreciate you, okay? Thank you for your kind words, for your due diligence, trying to help my channel to grow, and also for your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. It is so good to feel appreciated when I put in hard work, okay? When I do the actual research and get the receipts, okay? But anyway, I mean, unlike some people who sit around like vultures and wait for the queen to post so they can find whatever they can steal under bigger platforms. Okay? Yeah. Please pay attention. Now, that all been said, I got a taste of it. Okay? Called his father a predator. Now, he says, I blew the whistle in September of 2020, calling him out as a flight risk. See, that's why he was sitting in jail before his sentencing. I called him out as a flight risk, Mr. Bickle said, a move that finally revealed to his father that he was not on his side. That's when I was shut out from every point of contact. It's not a good association to be the son of a monster, he said, but I couldn't bear the thought of another person being harmed. Shout out to this young man. Do y'all hear this? Shout out to him. May the Most High bless and reward him for his due diligence. Okay? And for calling out his own father, who's a whole predator, clearly. His father's Toronto trial centered mostly on the testimony of 5 women who testified they were lured by Nygard to a private luxury bedroom in his firm's Toronto headquarters and assaulted. The complainants were being between the ages of 16 and 28 during the attacks, which had occurred between the 1980s to 2005. But Nygard, who was once estimated to be worth at least $700 million, has been accused of abuse of dozens of other women. He's still facing another trial in Montreal next year and assault and confinement charges in Winnipeg. One of his criminal cases in Canada are completed. He is set to be extradited to the U.S., where authorities claim he engaged in a decades-long pattern of criminal conduct involving at least a dozen victims across the globe. He is currently fighting that extradition. And 2 of Mr. Buckle's younger brothers have also launched lawsuits against Nygard. Well, you already know he was extradited because that indictment that I just read, that was right here in the United States in the Southern District of New York. Okay? They caught us behind in Canada and then he was extradited here. Oh, he tried to fight it. Okay? He's worse than Diddy. Now, 2 of Mr. Bickle's younger brothers have also launched lawsuits against Nygard. Okay? Accusing their father of hiring a known S worker when they were teens. His own children, not just one, even the younger brothers are going in on it. Through representatives, Nygard has repeatedly denied all wrongdoing and saying this is what his son says. There are so many survivors out there. This is their day. Now, a sentencing hearing will be set on November the 21st. Well, he got 11 years. That's what he got. Here's his son right here. Let's share this young man's picture on the screen. Okay? Because I'm going to tell you something. Now, this right here, this young man is who I call a hero. This is who I call a hero. Okay? That's who I call a hero. Queen number 1, you're very much loved. Appreciate you. Thank you, beloved. Thank you. I absolutely appreciate you as well. Okay? This is all a darn shame. Let me share my screen. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. And let me just say this also. Y'all see that? That's his son right there speaking. Okay. I want to say shout out to Kwame Brown. I want to say a big shout out to Kwame Brown, okay, who has a channel far bigger than mine. And shout out to Too Strong, okay, and Lisa Cabrera. All the people who shout me out and give me credit where it's due and don't try to steal my content, I really appreciate them. Okay, I really appreciate them. All right, I really appreciate them. For shouting at the Queen, Kwame Brown said last night that Professor Griff, my moderator actually sent me this, said that Kwame Brown said me, Professor Griff, and Jaguar have been going in about this stuff for years. And y'all know that I have. I've been talking about this stuff since I got on ScrewTube. The sad thing is, I was under a shadow ban for so long, my channel is not growing as I feel that it should. And so that just gives other people with bigger platforms to basically just steal my receipts and not give me even a shout out. Okay? And I'm not even talking about Tisa. I'm not talking about Tisa. I'm talking about people who don't look like me. That's who I'm talking about. Please pay attention. Okay, Lillian X said, yes, Queen, he gave you your props. Yes, and I appreciate him for that because he didn't have to. Okay, he didn't have to. So I really appreciate him for that. So with that all being said, this is all real crazy. This is all real crazy, but hold on. There was something specific about this nefarious man. Yeah, this is it right here, I do believe. Hold on. Now let's talk about his little girlfriend here, Sulin Medeiros. I'm gonna share the screen. I'm gonna share the screen. Mad Dog Jack said Kwame Brown is a solid dude. Yes, he is. He absolutely is. Okay, when you see, and I want you all to pay attention. If you all don't follow Kwame Brown, you make sure you go and follow him. If you all don't follow Too Strong and Lisa Carrera True Roy, if y'all don't follow them, make sure you do. Okay, and Gavin Richard Esquire, if you don't follow them, please make sure you do, because they are people who will shout you out. You know, they're going to give you your just due. They're not out here trying to steal content because they have bigger platforms, okay, copying your exact talking points. Okay, that's what they're not doing. I want y'all to pay attention. And then have people who look like you on there helping them to do it. Please pay attention. Now, that's his girlfriend right there, okay? So let's talk about her role in all of this, because she's nefarious too. She's nefarious too. That's her. Okay, that's her. Measure Man says, we work with Too Strong, Corey, and Marlon. We will push you as needed because we are working a case on getting a lady for a child, her child back, and we're almost there. It's going to be big, very big. Thank you, beloved, and I really appreciate you, okay? Thank you again for your insight into the topic, your kind words, and your contribution to the channel. Thank you, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay? I really appreciate you. All right, Laverne says, Queen, don't F around with it. The Queen don't F around with it, okay? So now with that all being said, let's talk about this girlfriend here. Because like I said, she's nefarious as well. So who is Sue Ellen Medeiros, you may ask? Well, she's 34 years old, and she's a well-known supermodel and former Playboy model who has appeared in films such as Video Girl, Dysfunctional Friends, and Still a Teen Movie. Okay? Now, the 34-year-old has amassed a whopping 2.6 million followers on Instagram, where she displays her sultry selfies. Her Instagram profile is filled with photos of her inevitable curves in flashy bikinis at exotic locations around the world, from deserts to beaches. I got to let y'all see this picture of him right here, honey, because on this picture right here, Mr. Vampire of Brooklyn, okay? That's what we're going to call him, the Vampire of Brooklyn and of the fashion industry, no less. He thought he was doing it right there, y'all. Please pay attention. Look at it. He thought he was decked out. All right? Look at him. He needs to sit all the way down somewhere. Thank God his victims got justice. And there's more justice to be had. There's more justice to be given, because remember, he's wanted in other countries. That's how nefarious he is. Medeiros and Nygard have been photographed together at many events, including the Virgin United's Midnight Magic Gala in 2007. According to legal papers, Medeiros was known as Nygard's top girlfriend and recruiter. Okay, can we say Ghislaine Maxwell? Can we say Ghislaine Maxwell? Can we say Young Miami? Now, the legal paper says Medeiros lived in Nygard's Marina del Rey compound for at least 5 years, received significant cash, salary, jewelry, plastic surgery, stem cell injection, and stem cell injection. Say what? Did y'all hear that? Stem cell injection. Isn't that what he was offering the black women money for? Okay, and cars in exchange for trafficking victims for Nygard. This man's a whole vampire and a predator. The 29-year-old woman named as Jane Doe in the lawsuit claims Nygard raped her in 2010 when she was 18, and that Medeiros was partially to blame for allegedly luring her to the Bahamas. Nygard has since been charged with racketeering, trafficking, and related crimes, and we already know the rest, okay, involving at least dozens of victims in the United States and Bahamas. It's probably hundreds, okay? It's probably hundreds. And let me just show you all this picture right here, because, honey, they were living the life. Do you hear me? They were living the entire life. Please pay attention. Please pay attention. They were living the life, honey. Look at this. Living their best life. All right? Yeah, they were doing it all and doing it well. OG Patrice said, I'm sick of these nefarious women doing the devil's work for evil men. They got to go too. Absolutely. They sure need to. They sure need to. Okay, this is all so vile. That's all I'm saying. Laverne said, dang, it gets worse. Oh, yeah, it sure does. Look at her here. I mean, she's out here doing all she can do. Please pay attention. Look at her. Flying around on private jets, going from one country to another, and all the while recruiting for this man to prey upon people. Okay? All so sad. All so sad. At the end of the day, Diddy's not the only problem, is all I'm saying. Jay-Z is not the only problem. Okay? Jay-Z and Diddy are not the only problem. But people want to act like they're the only problem. That's what they want to do. Selective outrage is what I call that. That's right. I'm right from Christ says, living in the lap of lux via dirty blood money. Exactly. Because isn't that what vampires do? So with that all being said, let me tell y'all something. I find this all so interesting. Now let's talk about these pillow parties real quick. Let's talk about these pillow parties just a bit more. Because these are nothing more than freak-offs. And by the way, this man was very much so also akin to Hugh Hefner, as I said. Oh, and did I mention that Prince Andrew was involved in some of this, allegedly? Did I tell y'all that? Yeah, Prince Andrew. And I want y'all to see something else that he has in common with Diddy and Jay-Z. Y'all see that? Y'all see that, right? Y'all see that, right? Yeah, I want y'all to pay attention because he clearly has a little something else in common with Diddy and Jay-Z. All right? Hold on. Hold on, beloveds. I'm pulling up something real quick. This is what I want to remind you all of because I know y'all forgot. I know y'all probably forgot about this. Okay? So y'all saw that, right? Kita B said this is crazy. It absolutely is crazy. It absolutely is crazy. Look at Laverne being nefarious talking about the back door. Yeah, exactly. Okay? I want y'all to pay attention. Now, I'm sure you forgot about this. Hold on. This is all a hot mess. Trust me when I say. Measure Man said it runs so deep, it's sickening. It really is. Troy said the Vampire of Brooklyn. Yeah, that's what I'm going to call him. Okay? Nita to Mike's World said Prince Andrew been at all the parties. Okay? I wouldn't be surprised. Y'all see that? That's all I'm saying. That picture that I just showed you all of the vampire puts me in the mind of this. Okay? Ha! Luna said, don't move. I'm almost done. Exactly. Exactly. Isn't that what Diddy said? Fat Boo said it runs so deep, it's a river. Exactly. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. And there was something I was going to tell you guys about Jay-Z that I forgot to tell you this morning, but we'll get into that maybe tomorrow. Okay, so anyway, let's talk about it. The Berkshire-born pinups says the creepy Canadian waited until they were alone together before putting on corn clips of orgies. Corn with a P. He is also accused of licking her 32 double D sized soccer balls. Okay, y'all know what I'm talking about. He is also accused of licking on those. This is all crazy. Nygard was arrested on suspicion of trafficking teens who were allegedly drugged and assaulted. Okay. Seeing news of his arrest wasn't a surprise to me. This is what one person told the news outlet. He was disgusting and really creepy. I had a lucky escape from him. The way he conducted himself, it was like he saw himself as God. Isn't that something? And could do just whatever he wanted. Well, that all certainly sounds familiar. Please pay attention. So he's got loads of TVs, which all come on at the same time. He stayed playing corn. Okay? And it was like a gang bang and very graphic. He was trying it on me right away. We hadn't even been properly introduced to one another. He was real pervy, she says. So sad. She said he came onto me and tried to grab and kiss my jugs, and I think he actually did lick it. He made me feel really uncomfortable. He seemed like he wanted to have sex then and there. I just pushed him away and managed to get out of there. I ended up sleeping in one of the guest rooms. This is all a hot mess. Many of the alleged victims were not of age, who came from disadvantaged backgrounds or had a history of abuse. He is said to have lured them to pamper parties where they were plied with drugs and alcohol and then violently and viciously assaulted. The case against him was pursued by the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, the same prosecutor who wanted to question Prince Andrew about his ties to Epstein. Prince Andrew is not accused of anything in connection with this case, but it further heaps of embarrassment on him following the Epstein scandal. Sources close to the Duke made it clear that he is neither a friend nor pal of associate Nygard. So that's just his associate. I want y'all to pay attention. Wink, wink. That's what he says. That's just his associates. Well, I find it interesting that you have so many associates, okay, that engage in these sort of things. I just find it all very interesting. And then, did I tell y'all that he knew Oprah? Yeah. Peter Nygard tells Oprah about his personal resort. Okay? This is also interesting. So anyway, I just want you all to pay attention, beloveds. I just want you all to pay attention. Now, the last thing I'm going to go over is this. Hold on. I'm sending something to my email real quick. Where is it? Here it is. Now I'm going to go over a little bit of this. Now, this is the complaint about his girlfriend, top girlfriend, shall I say, and recruiter. So defendant Sue Ellen Medeiros has conspired with Peter J. Nygard. Okay? By knowingly and actively recruiting young women for Nygard to grape as part of his sweeping international trafficking venture. International, mind you. Plaintiff Jane Doe is one such innocent victim of Medeiros' recruiting. This is what they say. Now, she Medeiros recruited, lured, and coerced Jane Doe to Nygard's private compound, and once confined there, Medeiros told Jane Doe that she was required to have relations with Nygard, instructing her that the forced relations would be really fast and easy. Oh, don't worry, it'll be over quick. Girl, please sit down. This is all nefarious. After the terrified Jane Doe refused, Medeiros and Nygard conspired to falsely imprison and drug Jane Doe. Not in prison. This all sounds like the guy from the Nexum lawsuit or criminal case. Because that's what he was doing, locking people up in warehouses, chained up. Okay, and then, like I told you, branding them. Nygard then forcibly raped her. It's all nefarious. I'm going to not read all of this. I'm going to show you a couple of the pages from the lawsuit. Once again, this is her living lavish while she's out here recruiting people for this whole predator. And I don't think his age should be taken into account as it pertains to his sentencing. I don't think his age should be taken into account because his age wasn't a problem when he was doing all of these nefarious things. Okay, his age was not a problem when he was engaging in these nefarious things. Please pay attention. Now, Medeiros had her very own checking account tied to Nygard's S-Den compound. Okay, it was an SEX-Den compound. And she had her own checking account. And they show right on here one of the checks, a blank check for Bank of America with her name on it. And it says, recently raided by the FBI as part of its trafficking investigation and the site of countless rapes by Nygard. According to flight logs, in just a 4-month period, Medeiros flew on Nygard's private jet on nearly 30 trips. Medeiros was not just one of Nygard's many girlfriends. She was referred to as his top girlfriend and was an S trafficker. Nygard's girlfriends were paid S workers and usually victims of Nygard that were manipulated, forced, and coerced to work as a girlfriend for Nygard. Girlfriends were paid based on their race. Someone try to listen. Paid based on their race, ethnicity, physical appearance, the level of S contact that they would engage in with Nygard, and also the number of attractive young women they could lure for Nygard to have relations with. This man's worse than Diddy, y'all. This man is worse than Diddy. And let's not forget that they said he was assaulting this woman. That means beating them. Okay? That means beating them. And he may be up in age, but at the end of the day, I told you guys, he looks like a whole villainous superhero. All right? And who knows what else he was using when he was assaulting them. It's all a hot mess. It's all a hot mess. But let me continue. So Medeiros was for many years considered Nygard's top girlfriend based on her ability and willingness and proclivity to lure, entice, coerce, and defraud young women to meet Nygard so that Nygard could ultimately grape them. Unlike many of Nygard's friends, Medeiros has consistently denied that Nygard has ever had sexually abused her. Okay, so she said that he never abused her or had sex with her against her will. So she's saying that she wasn't a victim, basically. So she did this because she wanted to, because she was getting paid to do so, because she was living lavish. In 2010, Jane Doe was an 18-year-old Florida resident and aspiring model when Medeiros invited her to a party in Miami, Florida, with the ultimate intention of trafficking her to Nygard. Jane Doe told Medeiros how old she was. Medeiros took Jane Doe to a dance club and illegally provided Jane Doe with alcohol, knowing she was only 18 years old. Now, remind you, some of these people were 16. Medeiros preyed on the innocence of Jane Doe as well as her dream to be a successful model, lured and enticed Jane Doe to travel to the Bahamas from Florida, telling her that it would be fun, a fun party weekend, and that her friend owned a fashion company. Doesn't that sound like what Harvey Pierre allegedly did when he was in Detroit trying to get the 17-year-old then, okay, Anna Kane, who's now revealed herself, but was formerly Jane Doe, trying to get her to go to New York, telling her that he was friends with Diddy. I'm telling you, it's all the same playbook. Jay-Z and Diddy are carbon copies, allegedly. Again, Diddy and Jay-Z maintain their innocence. They've not been proven guilty, as this man has. Medeiros invited Jane Doe knowing that Nygard would use means of force, fraud, and coercion to engage in commercial acts with Jane Doe. Acting on behalf and with the resources of Nygard and the Nygard companies from the state of Florida, Medeiros, an employee and co-conspirator of Nygard and the Nygard companies, arranged for Jane Doe's flight to the Bahamas, booked through and paid for by the Nygard companies. Out here flying the friendly skies, y'all. Out here flying the friendly skies. It's all a shame. It's all a shame. Now, after arriving at Nygard's private compound in Bahamas, Medeiros took Jane Doe to meet her fashion designer friend. The friend was none other than Peter Nygard. Now, after arriving, Jane Doe realized that she was not free to leave the Nygard compound. Blink twice, anyone? Does this not sound like blink twice at this point? Not allowed to leave? I mean, it's the nefariousness of it all for me. And who do you think the victims look like? Predominantly, disproportionately. were likely being treated the worst, okay, and being paid the least, if anything at all. So, with that all being said, after arriving, Jane Doe realized that she was not free to leave the compound, which was surrounded by a fence with barbed wire. They were imprisoned there. And a gate guarded by security at all times. Without Nygard's explicit permission, she couldn't leave. This man is worse than Diddy. All night at the Nygard compound, Medeiros had her own walkie-talkie with her name emblazoned on it, so she could readily communicate with Nygard. This sounds like a straight-up prison camp. Are y'all listening? While confined within the Nygard compound, Medeiros instructed Jane Doe that she was required to have sex with Nygard against Jane Doe's wishes, stated that she shouldn't worry because sex with Nygard wasn't that bad and would be really fast and easy. Jane Doe refused to have relations with Nygard. Medeiros abruptly informed Jane Doe that Medeiros would be leaving the Bahamas early and Jane Doe would be left there alone. Medeiros then intentionally abandoned Jane Doe at the property, knowing that Nygard would use means of force, fraud, and coercion to engage in commercial acts with Jane Doe against her will. While isolated and confined within the Nygard compound, Nygard approached Jane Doe and, using force, instructed her that she was going to be with him in the bedroom. Nygard forced Jane Doe onto his bed, holding her arms down and ignoring her attempts to tell him no. Nygard then forcibly raped her. The next morning, Nygard handed Jane Doe $500 in U.S. currency as payment for the grape. Isn't that something? I mean, it's the audacity of it all. Medeiros knowingly benefited from Nygard's trafficking of Jane Doe and others. She lived in Nygard's Marina del Rey compound for at least 5 years, received significant cash salary, jewelry, plastic surgery, stem cell injections, and cars in exchange for trafficking his victims. Medeiros' conduct violates TVPRA, which outlaws using means of interstate or foreign commerce to recruit, entice, harbor, transport, provide, obtain, advertise, maintain, patronize, solicit, or lure a person, and force, defraud, or coerce that person to engage in commercial acts. Medeiros also aided and abetted Nygard's crimes by conspiring with Nygard to violate the TVPRA by knowingly agreeing to facilitate and enable his illegal conduct for her own gain. Medeiros also directly violated the TVPRA and other state laws because she knowingly benefited from her conspiracy with and or participation in Nygard's venture with knowledge or in reckless disregard of the fact that Nygard trafficked Jane Doe and others. In the summer of 2019, Nygard became aware that the New York Times was actively investigating his trafficking venture. Nygard also became aware that the FBI and the Department of Justice were also investigating his criminal trafficking venture when they raided his New York and California properties on February the 26th of 2020. In response, Nygard took several offensive measures to try to keep his trafficking concealed, including threatening the New York Times, suing the New York Times, concocting conspiracy theories, and enlisting his most trusted girlfriends, including Medeiros and several others, each of whom, upon information and belief, were paid thousands of dollars to keep quiet and lie for him. Lie for him. Okay? I'm sorry. Is that what Adria English and Lamisha Fuller were doing? Coming out here muddying the waters purposely by telling all these salacious, nefarious lies taken straight from the headlines and titles of movies and scripts? I have questions. And don't forget, you heard it here first when I was exposing them. Okay? They never fooled me for a second because I have discernment. Okay? I never brought them on my platform believing that they were telling the truth because I knew they were lies the first time I heard them. Please pay attention. With that all being said, this is all so crazy. Defendant Suellen Medeiros' conspiracy efforts continue to the filing of this lawsuit. After the filing of the Jane Doe's numbers 1 through 57 versus Nygard et al. Complaint in February 2020, and up to the filing of this lawsuit, Medeiros has been actively conspiring with Nygard and others to orchestrate a concentrated and deliberate effort to protect and conceal Nygard's criminal activities, including his trafficking of Jane Doe, by concocting alibis and other ways to lie about the incidents in question. On June 30th of 2020, Medeiros flew back to Winnipeg to meet with Nygard and others to continue orchestrating the web of lies. Are y'all hearing this? Are y'all hearing this? Not a web of lies. Not the web of lies. But for some reason, Jay-Z and Diddy's story is much more salacious. Like I said, so much so that people that actually look like them will go and help other people to go in on them, but won't bring up this stuff. Oh, they may after today, because I'm calling it out. And this is all so nefarious. And word on the street is that one of these people calling out Jay-Z and Diddy has been accused of the same thing and convicted of the same thing as Jay-Z and Diddy. I want y'all to pay attention. I want you all to pay attention. It's the hypocrisy for me is all I'm saying. It's the hypocrisy is all I'm saying. I find it all so interesting. I find it all so interesting. But again, let's not make everything about race, shall we? Let's not do that. Now, I'm about to close up out of here because I think we've heard enough to get the point. Further, in a phone call just weeks before this filing, Medeiros called Nygard out of her concern for her complicit conduct in Nygard's trafficking venture. She was instructed by Nygard to stand by and support him, i.e. continue lying for him. Okay, that was code for that. That was code speak. On information and belief, Medeiros had a phone call on Monday, July the 13th of 2020 with Nygard's civil counsel in the Jane Doe numbers 1 through 57 versus Nygard et al. Complaint. Because of concern for her own liability for her trafficking, Medeiros fled the United States. She got up out of here, fled the United States for Brazil, where she loitered in the outskirts of Rio de Janeiro and encountered her own legal difficulties there. See, she couldn't escape the karma. She might have escaped the United States and the charges facing her that she was facing here, but she couldn't escape her karma. Medeiros then snuck back in the country and was staying in an apartment of a Beverly Hills plastic surgeon who months ago said he would never be seeing her again and that she would not be returning. Medeiros is to this day communicating regularly with Nygard and continuing to conspire to evade and lie to law enforcement. Medeiros' co-conspirator Nygard is notorious for using his wealth, political power, and influence in Canada, the United States, and the Bahamas to intimidate his victims and prevent them from coming forward. Doesn't that sound like Jay-Z and Diddy? The same allegations. Only difference is they haven't been convicted and they maintain their innocence. Please pay attention. Nygard also uses violence, threats of violence, bribery, and corruption to intimidate and silence his victims. Now, this all sounds like what Tony Busby was saying in that lawsuit. It also sounds like what Jay-Z's potential son, Ramirez Satterwhite, said, talking about people knocking on windows and threatening and harassing his family. And what did Tony Busby say? That people were trying to investigate us, he says. Okay? Allegedly, Jay-Z's investigators are working for his team. Allegedly offering people up to $1,000 at least to file false claims and to sue Tony Busby. Also saying that he and his family had been threatened to silence victims by any other means, having their tires slashed, committing arson. This all sounds like Diddy too. Excuse me. Remember Kid Cudi's car being blown up? Hiring thugs to intimidate his victims, having victims followed, engaging in murder for hire plots and otherwise threatening his victims with death. I'm sorry. Have y'all heard enough? Because I have. I think I've heard just about enough of the nefariousness. I think I have heard just about enough. Okay? This is all a shame. Deronda said, bless you, Queen. Thank you, beloved. I need it. Sweetie said, why is it so easy to come in and out of this country? I have questions. I have several myself, beloved. I actually have several myself. Bobo said, wow, these guys are dirty and all act the same. Intimidation. Yes. Above all that, Drum said, yes, Queen, that's enough. Okay, I just wanted to get the point across. I just wanted to get the point across because now while people are all out here are out here all of a sudden talking about Aleister Crowley, now while people are out here all of a sudden talking about Aleister Crowley on their platforms after the Queen did the story the other day, well, let's see if they're going to talk about this because they haven't been talking about this. I have not heard a word. Please pay attention. Is it because the people in this story with Diddy and Jay-Z look like me and the person in this story doesn't? I have several questions. Okay, that's what you all should be asking yourselves. That's what you all should be asking yourselves. And with that all being said, I'm about to conclude this broadcast. I'm about to conclude this broadcast because I think I've said enough. Okay. Now, Reverend Christ said Queen was cooking tonight. Thank you, beloved. You know, I tried to do a little something. Okay. I tried to do a little something because let's be fair. Let's not just put it all on people who look like me. Let's tell the truth and shame the devil in all cases, at all aspects, for all devils, for all predators, okay, for all traffickers and those who engage in nefarious things and the victimization of others, especially people who are young and defenseless. Okay. Because they were all over R. Kelly. They've been all over Diddy. They've been all over Jay-Z. And now, mind you, those three are nefarious. But so is he. So is he. And in fact, like I said, he sounds a whole lot worse than Diddy, as far as I'm concerned. If not worse, at least as nefarious. And he's convicted. Diddy's still facing allegations. Please pay attention. So with that all being said, Michael M. said, thank you, Queen, for a great rest of our day. Well, you're welcome, beloved. Okay, Andrea said, they come in all colors and races, Queen. Absolutely. Absolutely. But ours is the one that gets called out the most. And some of our own people help other people to do it. Okay? That's what some of our people do. Troy Parker said, much love to you, Queen. Thank you, beloved. Now, you guys, make sure you like and share this video. And listen, I need you all to be sharing, okay, my contents. I need you all to be sharing my content because at the end of the day, y'all know how people be doing, okay? Y'all know how people be doing, honey. Everybody likes to try to copy the Queen. And that's because I'm the original, the one and only authentic Queen of Receipts. Can I get a hashtag, you heard it here first, in the chat, please, before I close out the broadcast? Hashtag, you heard it here first. Okay, thank y'all. I appreciate your cooperation and your participation. With that all being said, listen, we may be on the spiritual channel tomorrow. And if I hadn't gotten started so late tonight, I was actually going to do Trivia Fridays, but I got started later than I anticipated. And so we may do that. Well, we'll definitely do it next Friday. Okay. That's what we'll do. Dorada said the Queen goes back. Dorada said the Queen goes back and read comments, so don't be talking slick. Dorada, I should have never told y'all that. I should have never told y'all that I'd be going back and reading the comments. Yes, I do. Yes, I absolutely do. Okay. Yes, I absolutely do. So with that all being said, I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this night. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. And listen, if you know, like I know, what you don't want to do, beloveds, is miss tomorrow's broadcast because it's going to be epic. And remember, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, you're going to hear this here first. Please pay attention. Okay, you're going to hear this here first. All right. Juju said, yes, I'm so ready for trivia. Oh, it's coming. It's coming, beloveds. Okay. So anyway, I love you all to life. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Okay, Namaste said a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Oh, it absolutely is. Okay, it absolutely is. That's why people need to use your own minds and stop trying to bite off mine. So I'll say it. Okay, and so anyway, beloveds, peace.
Yo, Nick, hit him with that flavor. Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now.
That's
See
right.
a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy.
Real slick.
I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got